Former President Donald Trump is set to be arraigned at a federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. this afternoon. He's accused of spreading lies and trying to overturn the 2020 presidential elections. He's also accused of orchestrating riots at the Capitol in an effort to hamper a peaceful transfer of power. Ahead of the hearing, workers put up barricades outside the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C., and in a few hours, the former president will be processed and taken into custody. Then he is expected to plead not guilty before being released. There's a lot at stake for the former president in the 2024 elections. In a way, this may be about personal freedom for him and not just his political future. Trump's latest indictment, in which he is charged with trying to overturn the 2020 election results, is probably the most serious of all the charges he's facing, but it's also the hardest to prove by prosecutors. The United States is gearing up for an election unlike any other in history. However, some say Trump's trial could run for years.
President Trump. It's hard to imagine that date holds, given sort of everything that has to happen between now and then. And frankly, the former president has a right to participate in his own defense, to prepare, to work with his lawyers, and to do that in a really fulsome way. And so I don't know how he does that with these three cases going on. And so it's not unusual for a federal case to really take, a number of years to resolve. And I don't think, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens here as well.
Under the U.S. judicial system, a person is innocent until proven guilty. So the ball is in the court of Jack Smith, the special counsel for the United States Department of Justice. The onus is on them to prove beyond doubt that Trump is guilty of promoting false claims that the elections were rigged and pressuring state and federal officials to alter the results. Despite the scale of the charges, many Republicans say they will vote for the GOP frontrunner, even if he's in jail. Trump says he's the target of a politicized Justice Department, and at his rallies, he says the charges are not just an attack on him, but his supporters too. His lead over Republican rivals only continues to grow despite his legal troubles. Donald Trump's political strength is well known. Even former President Barack Obama, in a private conversation with Joe Biden, warned him of Trump's clout. We now learn that during a meeting at the White House back in June, Obama promised to do all he could to help Biden get reelected. Trump's legal defense team is expected to argue that the indictment illegally criminalizes Trump's freedom of speech. Some of Trump's supporters believe the recent indictments were timed to distract the news from the Biden family's business dealings. With the DOJ hyper-focused on Trump, many wonder if there's a two-tier justice system. Okay, for more on this, we are being joined by senior journalist, author, and columnist Ray Locher from Washington, D.C. Ray, great to see you, and thanks for joining us.
You bet.
There are those that say this may be the most serious of all charges, but it may be the most difficult to prove as well. After all, part of this implies that the prosecutors would have to prove that Donald Trump himself didn't believe what he was saying, that the election was stolen. That's very hard, isn't it?
Well, in theory, yes. But remember, Donald Trump has been doing this for years. Before he surprisingly won the 2016 election, he was claiming in the weeks leading up to the election that the whole process was rigged and he was going to lose because it was rigged. And then he won, much to everyone's surprise. So this is not a new claim for him. And we should view these claims in that context.
And Ray, what happens perhaps after these trials? I mean, he could appeal. It could go all the way to the Supreme Court. It's far from over, really, despite the fact that it seems Jack Smith and his team want to, quote unquote, get it over with as soon as possible.
Look, everybody knows this is a lengthy process. If he wins the 2024 election, he could pardon himself. He could appoint a new attorney general who just drops all the cases. But assuming he does not win the election, This thing could drag on because that's the way that he does business. He delays in all of these court proceedings. I mean, this is someone who has been sued multiple times by his business associates. So, I mean, and he just delays things over and over again.
And Ray, I want to get your views on what some are saying that perhaps despite the fact that his poll numbers are going up on the Republican side and he may become the Republican nominee, it'll be hard for him to win a general, although these are all hypotheticals. We have a long way to go. But that seems to be the sentiment among some analysts, at least.
Well, look. He's never won the majority of the popular vote in his two presidential elections. He lost to Hillary Clinton in the popular vote by 2.9 million. He lost to Joe Biden in 2020 by 7 million. This is not somebody who is rolling up a popular vote majority around the country. So you look at, this upcoming election in that context, and you can see that this is somebody who has an uphill battle to win a general election. What helps him is he's strong in certain states that have a number of electoral votes. That's how he won in 2016. That's how he came close to being reelected in 2020. And that's something that everyone has to take seriously.
Ray, it's great to talk to you. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thanks, Susan.